The crowd here, 95% of them from Poland. On the inside in red, it's Michael Carlsen. Next to him, Stefan Dano. Gate 3 is Henrik Gustafsson, all three from Sweden. On the outside, the pole is Sebastian Ulemek. Our referee tonight is an Englishman, Tony Steele, who has the use of the television replays. And that, of course, something that's arisen since the Swedish Grand Prix when we had those problems with Tony Rickardsson. Our starting marshal gets them into line. Up fly the tapes and away they go, and in white there Henrik Gustafsson to the apex of the bend, but the inside lane taken by Michael Carlsen. Pushing him on the inside is Stefan Dano. Quite a race here. Look at the power of the outside from Gustafsson, but out front Michael Carlsen going well. Peter Collins, he got a great start.
Yeah, Michael's riding real well at the moment. We saw him at Bellevue on Wednesday in a league match, riding fantastic, and he does make good starts, and certainly in Heat 1 it is so important to get out of that start first.
Michael Carlsen going very well indeed out front. Peter Carlsen it was we saw at Bellevue, but never mind that. Michael Carlsen out front with half the race gone in the red helmet colours. In front, the younger of the two brothers in blue. That is Stefan Dano in second place. Third is Ulemek. And right at the rear, well, the battle is joined. But look at the lead being stretched by Michael Carlsen. Ahead of in second place, Stefan Dano, with just over a lap to go here. Well, this big track, they are flying, and none flying faster than Michael Carlsen. And on this form, he will do well in this meeting because he seems to have it just right, the setup right, the line right, and much more. And the Swede is going to win this one with some comfort. In second place, Stefan Dano. Another Swede gets it there. Third place, well, they are struggling there, but certainly the two Swedes going through. Michael Carlsen in red, Stefan Dano in blue. They will march on. Henrik Gustafsson and Sebastian Ulemek will have to race again to stay in this. Remember, in this format, if you finish third or fourth twice in successive races that you are in, then you are out. But this man isn't. The checkered flag belongs to Michael Carlsen from Sweden. There's the lineup. Red helmet colours Chris Louis, Greg Hancock in blue, Brian Carger in white, Peter Protasevich for the second race running. A pole goes from the outside. Remember, he came in for the injured Robert Sawina as a wild card. Peter Protasevich, a few years ago, 1996, he was the under-21 champion. 1997, as the world under-21 champion. 1997, he rode as a regular in the Grand Prix. This is heat number 2. Crowd expectant here. Voices will be heard, no doubt, from Peter Protasevich. And Greg Hancock, of course, their local favourite in league meetings here in Poland. Starting marshal walks away. But held by our referee Tony Steele, but coming around the outside is Protasevich, probably going far too wide. Picking it up well is Chris Louis out front, and now Louis can do just what Michael Carlsen did. The Brit is in front, but down at the back goes Peter Protasevich, and I wonder whether Tony Steele will stop this because Protasevich is down. Danger threatens here, the red flags are out. There'll have to be a restart. Surely Protasevich will be the man excluded, Peter. He seemed to fall with nobody near him there, the pole.
Yeah, he was certainly at the worst point there, right at the end of the straight, going very, very quick, and he fell very, very heavily there. He had a bit of a tangle, I think, with Brian Carger. We can see the rider in yellow, Protasevich, run straight into the back of Carger's bike. He seemed to catch the fence first, but really tangled with that bike. That was really bad there because that is the fastest part of the circuit. We could see him again. He bounces off the safety fence straight into the side there of Brian Carger.
But Carger, it seems, PC did nothing wrong. He kept to his line. It's Protasevich all over the track.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it was Carger that...
Well, here's the lineup for the restart of heat number 2. Graphics show the Union Jack on the inside there with Chris Louis. Gate 2 is Greg Hancock, the American, of course, who rides here in Poland for this club here at the Wroclaw Stadium in the Polish League. And on the gate 3, third gate, is Brian Carger, the Dane. An empty gate where Peter Protasevich was excluded. In this format, officially, of course, he gets 4th place and will have another chance to stay in this round of the Grand Prix. But this is the restart of heat number 2. Big delay, but the riders have more room on this big track as they move away from tapes for this one. Up by the tapes and away they go. This time Chris Louis is not so good, and Greg Hancock cuts across. Louis will have to pull through the inside, but Chris Louis now has work to do. Unlucky for the Ipswich captain because Brian Carger in the white helmet colours flies round the outside. Greg Hancock comes back at him, and Greg Hancock now picks up the lead. Louis will have work to do as Carger goes wide. Louis comes through on the inside. Carger picks it up again at the back. Quite a battle, but now Chris Louis is doing exactly what we hoped, and he should get into second place. But Carger too is battling. Hancock has packed up.
Yeah, Hancock's bike's gone there. He's riding Jawas this year for the first time. He's not really got them right, but He certainly stopped there, and that's put Chris Louis right in the lead. Chris was in the position where he was going past both riders on that inside line. We know Chris rides the inside really well, and he was in the right position to take Karger and to take the lead when Greg Hancock's bike stopped.
And now away he goes, Chris Louis, to take the checkered flag in this one, without a doubt, ahead of Brian Karger. And it's Greg Hancock who will have to go again, like Peter Protasiewicz, to stay in this. And that a surprise for the former world champion, with just 2 riders finishing that. Chris Louis is safely through to the next stage and is now just 1 ride from the main event. Second place 2, Brian Karger in the white helmet colours, the Dane 2, just 1 ride from the main event and coming up against the 8-seeded riders. Certainly an eventful heat, that one.
Watching the pits turn there, Hancock's bike actually, yes, it looks as though the back tyre's given way on him. The back tyre's lost all its pressure, and Brian Karger in the white did very, very well there, just to miss Greg Hancock, because he was on the outside of him going into that turn, and when Greg ran wide, slowing down, he could have very nearly tested that air fence. But certainly Chris Louis was in the right place, and there we can see now Greg Hancock's tyre.
Of course, he didn't practice. Rafał Jabrowski suffered injury practicing in Poland last week. Stonehewer on the inside for Britain. Joe Screen for Britain, gate 2 in blue. Rafał Jabrowski from Poland goes from gate 3, and on the outside, Andy Smith. 3 Brits and a pole. This is heat number 3. Now, starting marshal having problems there with Andy Smith on the outside. Rear view there of Rafał Jabrowski. Starting marshal walks away, up flight of types. Takes Jabrowski, gets the fly, but look at Joe Screen. Joe Screen to the apex of the bend, picks it up. Joe Screen's got the right racing line. Joe Screen has the speed and ability ahead of Carl Stonehewer. It's Brits 1 and 2. Rafał Jabrowski back in 3rd place. I have to tell you, Andy Smith has work to do, but a great start by Joe Screen, Peter.
Yeah, Joe's made a great start, and that's very unlike Joe. Joe's normally not the best of starters, but certainly he's going real well. He's got Carl Stonehewer tucked in there behind him, but I must say, Tony, the track's a little bit rough tonight, because we can see the bike's bucking around a little bit, and it seems to be drying out very quickly in this heat.
Haven't seen much water since the big water cart early on, but it's suiting Joe Screen at the moment. Screen and Stonehewer both at times have ridden for Bellevue. Joe Screen now with Eastbourne. That man in white, Rafał Jabrowski from Poland, but the front 2 from Britain. In blue, Joe Screen. In red, Carl Stonehewer. They're going to march through just 1 ride from the main event. They're going to have to go again on Rafał Jabrowski and Andy Smith, but this too a bit processional after that first bend. But a great ride by Joe Screen in the blue helmet colours. Carl Stonehewer in red follows him home there, taking the checkered flag. They will march on. 3rd place to Rafał Jabrowski in white, 4th to Andy Smith in yellow. They will have to race again. A familiar story for Andy Smith in the Grand Prix series, but a great result for those 2 out front for the 3rd Grand Prix of the series. Billy Hamill from the inside from the USA. Tony Kasper from the Czech Republic goes from gate 2. Peter Carlson, this spectacle from Sweden, as you see in his picture, he goes from gate 3. And on the outside, it's the Dane, Brian Anderson. Many thought he would be the heir to the throne. Looks right down on that. Referee Tony Steele from Britain in charge of this Grand Prix. Our starting marshal moves away, up again, fly the tape to the apex of the bend. Tony Kasper in ace position, but in blue, in red, Billy Hamill is trying to get on terms, but look at the speed of Peter Carlson down the outside. He finds a gap round Billy Hamill, takes advantage, and now Hamill has work to do. At the back in yellow, Brian Anderson, once again struggling for the 3rd successive Grand Prix. But look at Tony Kasper. He's got his setup just right, his racing line too, and he's fast.
Yeah, we've certainly seen a lot of Tony Kasper in the GPs in the past, and certainly Tony always starts real well in the early heats, and this is no different. He's really going well. If he can keep this kind of speed up, then he could be in the results, but he never seems to hold himself together till the end.
Rides well at the start, still an Eastbourne asset in the British League, but doesn't ride there at the moment. Tony Kasper in blue, away he goes there, stretching his lead with every turn of the wheel ahead of Peter Carlson. Carlson has some comfort here in this one now, but certainly where the rest are concerned, well, this man, Tony Kasper, fast and furious in 2nd place. Peter Carlson in the white helmet colours takes the checkered flag there. Certainly a fine effort by Tony Kasper in blue ahead of Peter Carlson in white. They are now just 1 race from the main event. But the other 2, Billy Hamill and Brian Anderson, will have to go again. But what an effort that was by them. There's the lineup. Houlimet goes from gate 1. Jabrowski from gate 2. Remember, all the heats so far have been won from the 2 inside gates. Gate 3, Greg Hancock, the former world champion, unluckily suffering a puncture first time out. Brian Anderson is on the outside. Nervous times for all these four because they are 4 laps from marching on. Starling Marshall moves away. Anderson is out of the way. In blue, Dabrowski takes into the apex of the bend. Well, there's going to have to be work done here for Anderson to qualify in this, but now he's going round the outside. The pole in dominating form in the front. In blue there is Dabrowski, but there is Anderson chasing him, and he's going to chase him all the way, but he too is being challenged now, and coming through on the inside is Protasevich at the back, but coming through the red helmet colour, Ulamek, and the Poles are doing it. They could relegate Anderson to last, but no problems out front. Man in blue, Raphael Dabrowski, having it much his own way, Peter. Yeah,
very underrated. He's riding with an injury, and he certainly had to get clearance from the doctor to ride tonight, and he's certainly showing no signs of that whatsoever, and tucked in behind him now with Sebastian Ulamek.
Certainly round and taking a wide line. They're getting away from the inside here, but certainly looking good is Raphael Dabrowski. In second place is Sebastian Ulamek, and Anderson, as was predicted, has gone from first to last effectively and would be out of this at the first attempt, the unlucky Dane. But no doubt about the winner here in this one. Raphael Dabrowski takes it ahead of his compatriot Sebastian Ulamek in red. Protasevich in white, who looks so good to start with, he goes out, so too does Brian Anderson, and Kelvin Tatum, back in the studio in London, has lost his money. His man is out at the first. This is heat number 6 on the inside. I don't think the captions are quite right here. I think you'll find that on the inside, Greg Hancock is the rider in red. In blue, it's Billy Hamill. They are at the tapes at the moment. Probably the first time these two, Peter, have been in direct opposition in the early stages of this Grand Prix meeting.
Yeah, well, Billy Hamill's world champion from 1996, and Greg Hancock was...
Henrik Gustafsson's in white, Andy Smith in yellow, completing the lineup outside the two Americans. Away they go, and Billy Hamill is fast and furious. Hancock in his wake. I just wonder about team riding, because that's going to be upset by Henrik Gustafsson. Gustafsson's got between them, and now work for Hancock to stay in. Hamill is away out front. Hancock picks up the grip, and now it's America 1 and 2.
Yeah, this is really what should happen here for these two, because they are excellent riders, and Hamill rides very, very determined there, but Greg Hancock did a lot of work to get round the outside of Gustafsson on that first lap, and if it stays like this, they'll progress to the next round, Tony.
Well, certainly we expected it from two former world champions. Remember, the man out front, Billy Hamill, has already won a Grand Prix this year. That in Prague 2 Grand Prix ago. He disappointed certainly in Linköping, but he's not disappointing here now. He's come back from the dead, and Billy Hamill in blue, impressive all the way now. And Billy Hamill with just under a lap to go. Well, he knows that surely he's going to march on ahead of his teammate in second place, his commentary teammate Greg Hancock. Both former world champions, both march on. Yet again, the rider in white is in third place. Henrik Gustafsson goes out at the early stages. Disappointment for him. And Andy Smith, an all too familiar tale for the Bellevue rider, because he too can go home. He's finished in this Grand Prix, has Andy Smith. But the two Americans, as they shake hands, know that they are now just one ride from the main event. And in that one, I think, PC, they just showed their class.
Helmet, Billy Hamill's just got the speed. Now just watch Hancock here in the red. Hancock rides just around the outside of Gustafsson there. Doesn't go too wide, and now he starts to pull the bike back towards the inside again, just to stop Gustafsson getting that run back.
There's the lineup. On the inside, Michael Carlson in red. Joe Screen goes in blue, the Brit. Gate 3 in white is Brian Carger. On the outside is Peter Carlson. Calm, cool and collected. It was fast and furious on his first ride. Here we go for heat number 7. And the first two go directly through to the main event. And there in the blue helmet colours, that is Joe Screen. That's what we want to see as Joe picks it up. They're battling for second place. A sandwich there. The beating that sandwich is Brian Carger, but winning the battle is Peter Carlson. Going wide and taking a tumble there is Brian Carger. He'll get off the track, but he certainly won't be taking any further part or any meaningful part in this heat, because Joe Screen down that back straight is stretching his lead ahead of the rider in yellow, Peter Carlson. Third in red is Michael Carlson, surprisingly after his effort first time round, but he will have to go again to stay in this Grand Prix. But Joe Screen at the moment having his best Grand Prix of the season so far. And I just wonder, Peter, is this his night?
Yeah, Tony, we've certainly seen Joe Screen at his best here, certainly up to now. When Joe leads from the tapes, there's basically nobody going to pass him because he's so good really on that bike. He's a natural rider, and he can ride as fast as anybody, and he always struggles because he doesn't make good starts, but when he makes a start like that, there's nobody going to touch him.
Joe Screen certainly looking good, and the Brits doing well tonight. Remember, Chris Louis already looking impressive. Joe Screen, time on his side, winning it ahead of in yellow, Peter Carlson. Third place man is Michael Carlson, with Brian Carger taking a tumble. But what an effort by Joe Screen. Wheels in line, picking the racing line. And
there's a real jumble here. Brian Carger there in the white helmet is in the thick of things there, in third place. Now Brian runs into the back of Peter Carlson there, just about lays that bike down, and he did very, very well to hold on to that bike there. But unfortunately, his race was over after that incident. But Joe steamed off there.
Outside Carl Stonehill, the haircut man from Workington. That's the lineup. Chris Louis on the inside. Tony Casper, gate 2. Stefan Dano, gate 3. And Carl Stonehill from the outside, which has been, well, not exactly the position of class, the position of success tonight. Drop, but the humidity certainly hasn't. The action on the track is going to remain hot all night. There's the starting marshal putting them up to line. Our referee, Tony Steele, has his finger on the button to release those starting teams. Riders look across at the electrics, and up they go. The blue helmet colour Tony Casper to the fore, as he was in his first ride in winning heat number 4. But he's going wide, and coming through to pick it up is Stefan Dano, the Swede, and he's packed in the inside. Behind him is Carl Stonehill. Stoney has to battle. Casper goes wide. Stonehugh's going backwards because in second place is Stefan Dano. Dano's now got to grips with this. Both the front two riders, of course, in the British League are Eastbourne property. Neither is riding in the British League at the moment, but they are riding here.
Yeah, this is bad for the English boys, Chris Louis and Carl Stonehill, because if they don't get together in this one, they're going to go out of the meeting. But again, out in front, Tony Casper showing his class. He's been around a long, long time, lots of experience, and the way he's going is unbelievable in this race.
Well, if they do finish in the last two here, they get one more chance to come back, but certainly out front now. The battle is joined. Stonehill is trying to get into second place and putting some pressure on Stefan Dano. Look at the action there in second place, because Stonehill is not giving up working. No problems for the man out front, Tony Casper, but Stoney in the yellow helmet colour is putting Stefan Dano under all sorts of pressure. His effort may be too late. It is just. But in second place, that goes to Stefan Dano, with Carl Stonehill a third in yellow and black. A disappointment for Chris Louis in red. It does mean, in fact, that Chris Louis and Stefan Dano and Carl Stonehill and the two Brits will have to go again to stay in the meeting. But the front two, that's the man in blue, Tony Casper. Moment for the Poland. Greg Hancock from gate 2 from America, United States to California. Michael Carlson goes from gate 3 in white, and Chris Louis, the Brit, in yellow and black. And I have to tell you, in 6 of the heats so far, the man in yellow and black has failed to make the first 3. All the heats have been won from those two inside gates. Our starting marshal gets them in line. Tough work for Chris Louis here in yellow. We'll be cheering him on. He'll have to fly, Chris Louis. He's got a good start. Can he pick it up? He's trying round the outside. A fabulous ride by Chris Louis, going round the field there against the odds, Peter Collins. He needed to do it, and he's done just that.
He certainly has. It's a long, long way around the outside. Greg Hancock was off gate 2, and 80% of the races has been won from gate 2, so Greg really has thrown that away. But don't take anything away from Chris Louis. That was a fantastic first corner from Chris.
In this heat, the first two go through to the main event, the last two go home, and at the moment, well, it's Chris Louis from the outside defying the odds from the least favoured gate of the night. He's going wide, he's picking up a racing line. The lads back in the studio were talking about the conditions of this track. There's not much passing outside that first bend, but the style of Chris Louis, the speed of Chris Louis, and the correct selection of the racing line, mighty important. And now the Brit is marching on, the Britain captain is marching on towards a place in the main event here. Chris Louis from the outside, and flying star, what star that is. In second place, Greg Hancock in blue, knows that he too will go through to the main event. Third man in white, Michael Carlson, will go home. So too will Rafał Dobrzycki, one having further to go than the other. But what a ride by that man, Chris Louis. He's earned his corn in this one, Peter Collins. Chris Louis defying the odds from that outside gate. We were just to his gate position. That's the lineup. Hamill on the inside. Ulemek from gate 2. Carl Stonehill from Britain from gate 3, and on the outside, Brian Carger. What about Stoney's chances, Peter?
Well, he's been making good first corners. If he's just in the right position on that first turn, he can possibly get into that top 2 because he has...
The riders were eliminated. The first 2 go to the main event. Our takes fly up and away they go, and on the inside the battle is joined from gate 2 again by Ulemek. Work having to be done by Billy Hamill, going round the outside, picking up the grip. Carl Stonehill swapping back to the inside and losing out to Brian Carger. But the front 2, the pole Ulemek is getting the cheers. In his wake goes former world champion and Czech Grand Prix winner Billy Hamill. If it stays like this, these 2 will go through, and the others, including Carl Stonehill, will go through and go home. But Stoney isn't going to give up down that back straight. Plenty of work to do, Peter. Can Carl do it?
Yeah, well, certainly as well. Billy Hamill hasn't given up. Neither's Carl. Carl's having a real go, but just look at Billy Hamill putting that pressure on Sebastian Ulemek. Certainly Billy wants to win this race. There's no doubt about that.
It goes through on the inside, Billy Hamill to pick it up. He hampers Ulemek, which may allow Stonehill a space to come through. But with just over a lap to go, the former world champion, the Czech Grand Prix winner, has picked it up. He knows where he's going on the track, does Billy Hamill. Stoney has a bit to do. Ulemek is coming back, and the rear Carger's going to tumble out of this one. But Billy Hamill, riding with the style we know he possesses, the flair of the Coventry rider. Billy Hamill in red takes this ahead of Sebastian Ulemek in blue. And it's time to go home for Carl Stonehill in white and Brian Carger in yellow and black. But what a ride, and one of the best passes of the night there when Billy Hamill went through to take the lead, and from then really he never had a need to look back.
He's come up the inside there of Sebastian Ulemek and certainly closed the gate on him there down the back straight, and from then on it was Hamill who was definitely going for that win there. We can see it again there, the way he's just gone by Ulemek, and a very, very determined Billy Hamill, but we can see the bikes leaping around, entering.
His brother with him in the pits. Stefan Dano, an Eastbourne asset, but not riding in Britain at the moment. The other 3 all, Jason Crump and Lee Adams for Kings Lynn, Joe Screen for Eastbourne. League title aspirants, those 3. The inside 2 gates. The exception, Chris Louis from the outside. Our starting marshal moves away. A little bit of creeping there from Lee Adams, but away they go. He's caught on the hop, but not now. Lee Adams picks it up. Going wide on the outside is Joe Screen. Joe loses the grip. Lee Adams comes through ahead of Jason Crump in second place. A battle for the guys at the rear, because there's 2 inside gates really telling where it counted here, and they sort out the wheat from the chaff, and it's going to have to be another go for those 2, Joe Screen and Stefan Dano, if they're to stay in this. What a start by Lee Adams, Peter.
Yeah, certainly in the interval, the track here has been really watered. It's quite slippery out there at the moment. Difficult there to get around the outside, and the riders certainly on those 2 inside gates made that start and riding the inside right now.
The bumps too, Jason Crump's front wheel hitting many of them as he comes into that bend, but Lee Adams looking smooth, effective and fast out front. Crump looking back to see in his wake that he's got a man in the white helmet colour, Joe Screen, not far behind. We know that Joe won't give up. Joe's having another go. He locks up slightly there and loses a bit, but comes again in second place as Adams out front in blue stretches that lead, and Lee Adams knows that he has the checkers flag here for the asking. In second place, Jason Crump in red. Both of those march on. Joe Screen in white and Stefan Dano in yellow will have to battle again. They will go on if they can succeed in getting in the first 2 when they race next time out. They will stay in the main event, but Lee Adams will march on, and Lee Adams knows that he's going to be among the points. Sullivan from Australia goes from gate 2. Tony Kasper, the Czech, goes from gate 3, and Peter Carlson, the Swede, now riding in England for Peterborough. We saw him in midweek. He goes from the outside. In Poland, warming up to the track. Edges raw. Take fly up and away goes Ryan Sullivan in blue. Mark Laram stuck on the inside. Mark will have work to do. Mark does. Mark comes through into second place, and once again the inside 2 gates. But look at the effort of Tony Kasper, putting Mark Laram under pressure. Laram comes back, cuts his way forward, and now Laram chasing Ryan Sullivan. Looks as if these 2 will be the first 2 barring mistakes. Kasper's not giving up though in third place. Peter Carlson struggling at the back. Bumping all over the place is Mark Laram, but holding it there, and Mark Laram could be at his best tonight.
Yeah, certainly this will be good enough for Mark, but he needs to get a couple of races under his belt before he's going to start really steaming round everyone, and certainly this is a safe bet for him just to carry on, but it's pretty difficult out there now, but certainly our hopes are with Mark, who's currently leading the series.
Ron Sullivan certainly looking anything like an injured man as he steams away out front. The Aussie from Adelaide is really racing tonight. Mark Laram having a problem there to hold off Tony Casper, but doing so there as they come round the final sweet big bend. Laram will hold off Casper. He's looking back. Casper will finish in third place in white. Peter Carlson in yellow. They will have to go again, but on through to the next stage, and perhaps just one race from the semi-finals. Well, the winner, Ron Sullivan in blue and Mark Laram in red. Quite a race, that one. Tony Casper never gave up in second place. If he doesn't win this one in blue, there'll be no excuse in terms of gate positions. Todd Wiltshire having the same problem that Peter outlined. The humidity here in Poland means that his goggles are steaming up, and our starting marshal, you see there, calling him up to tape. Thomas Golub in blue looks back. And look, he's going very wide from that gate 2 position, Peter, Thomas Golub.
Yeah, he is, but certainly Todd Wiltshire, he's been around quite a while, and I think there's a bit of kidology going on here. And
Thomas Golub going as wide as possible from gate 2, and he's going to jet for the apex of that bend, I'm sure, in the blue helmet colours. Tough work for that man, Ulemek, the yellow there on the outside. Up go the tapes, and Golub almost got a flyer. In fact, he did, and did exactly what I suggested, but he's going wide. Can Wiltshire pick it up? No, it's Golub. Oh, he's flying down that back straight. That must be the fastest bend tonight, and Thomas Golub, well, nobody's going to catch him if he rides like this. In white, Chris Louis, though, in second place. That's exactly what we wanted. In red, Todd Wiltshire may have to try again as Sebastian Ulemek comes through, but Golub fast and furious, and Chris Louis in his wake.
Yeah, Golub is riding so well. That's a fantastic line that he's making around those turns. He's turning very hard going in, and he gets the wheels in line so early there. At that point, his wheels are totally in line. All the traction's going down onto that back tyre, and that just catapults him down that straight. If you're actually travelling sideways, you're losing speed, but he seems to be making real straight lines of this, Tony.
Well, the Ipswich fans will be delighted with this one because their favourites are going well. Their favourites are flying in this one, and Thomas Golub has half the stadium supporting him, and they'll be cheering as he takes the checkered flag with the wheelie ahead of his British teammate Chris Louis. Third place goes to Todd Wiltshire in red. He will have to go again, as will Sebastian Ulemek in last place. But what a ride by Thomas Golub, and the noise from the Polish. Tony Rickardsson on the inside, Jimmy Nilsson, Billy Hamill, Greg Hancock, the last 3 world champions head-to-head in this Heat 14. Rickardsson, Hamill and Hancock have all won that cherished world title. One missing out, Todd Wiltshire in the last heat. He hasn't gone straight through. We'll go again. This is Heat 14. Starting marshal moves away. Bit of a jump on the inside there, but coming across in white is Billy Hamill. Hamill pursued by Hancock, but look, coming through on the inside there is Greg Hancock. In white, Billy Hamill, the outside 2 gates heading this one, ahead of the 2 seeded riders. Rickardsson has work to do, and is doing it. What a race we have here in second place, because champions galore in this heat. Out front in white is Billy Hamill. Look at Rickardsson, look at Hancock. We have a race here, Peter, of the highest quality.
Certainly the 2 Americans here under big pressure from Tony Rickardsson. Tony is really, really quick. He's going around the outside, or certainly trying to go around Greg Hancock.
Quality riding here. There goes Rickardsson. Hancock will have to go again. Hancock's left trailing. The cheers for Rickardsson from the Swedes. But Billy Hamill has got away out front. Rickardsson will settle, I'm sure, for second place here. He's earned it. He's battled for it. He's had to try all the way. Greg Hancock hasn't given up yet as Rickardsson goes wide. Hancock comes again. This bend is going to be crucial. The champion's in front. Hancock behind him. Rickardsson will hold on. Rickardsson surely will hold on here, and does behind Billy Hamill in white. A great wide by Billy Hamill ahead of Tony Rickardsson in red. Greg Hancock in yellow. Jimmy Nilsson, as we predicted, struggling. I'm sure not racing fit. He's been passed and allowed to ride in this one. We see Jimmy Nilsson. Certainly, I don't think we're going to see too much more of him, but the 2 Americans shake hands. We know that Greg Hancock
side that's trying a real big cutback on the first turn. He goes from last to first there, and look at the rider in white, Billy Hamill, does a very similar manoeuvre on the exit from the turn and comes under Greg Hancock very, very hard across those bumps on the first turn. But Rickardsson comes into the picture now. Here he's challenging Hancock, goes on the inside of Greg Hancock, there pulls his tear off so he can actually get some clean lenses and see where he's going. But this race was really happening there because Rickardsson never put the pressure off whatsoever. He was certainly in there the whole way, and he certainly shut the gate there on Greg Hancock. But Billy Hamill out in front, basically he got that lead and hung on.
In either heat 15 or heat 16. He goes from the inside. Todd Wiltshire from the much favoured gate 2. Peter Karlsson, the Swede, goes from gate 3, which provided the winner in the last heat in the person of Billy Hamill. On the outside, the struggling Jimmy Nilsson from Sweden. Peter Collins, Joe Screen will be watching from the inside.
Yeah, I think the inside gate's going to be better for Joe in this one.
We'll have to wait and see. Oh, an unsatisfactory start, surely. Todd Wiltshire anticipated the start, got a flyer, and now is away, but in his wake is Joe Screen, which we wanted to see. Pressure on Joe, look on the inside there from Peter Karlsson. I think Screen was almost caught napping there, but he's picked up the grip round the outside, and he will sail past Karlsson again and block his way round that bend, surely, behind Todd Wiltshire. Karlsson won't give up. Screen has got a battle. Really didn't do the best on that bend, PC.
No, Joe caught a hole there going into that turn, and he's really struggling now because Peter Karlsson's done a lot of hard work on him there, but I'm sure Joe won't give up. He's going to keep trying, but just look at Todd Wiltshire after that flying start.
He's got a lot to do, has Joe Screen. Remember, the last two go out, but Joe comes through. Karlsson battles back. All the action is in second place behind Todd Wiltshire out front. Joe Screen and Peter Karlsson are battling. Joe Screen blocks his way again. Joe Screen in pursuit of Todd Wiltshire. Round the outside, Peter Karlsson will try and catch him. The battle is not lost, but our Joe Screen, can he produce second place? Can he march on? Oh, he's locked up there. Karlsson is going to go by. Screen's going to come again. Karlsson does it. Screen goes out. Abject disappointment. Joe Screen, one mistake on that final bend, and Joe Screen tumbles out of the Grand Prix at this stage for the third time running. But that man, Todd Wiltshire in blue, marches on.
Joe really locked up on that pit turn there. He lifted sort of on the first lap this was, and allowed Peter Karlsson to steam through on the inside. They were having a real ding-dong battle here, but Screen managed to get himself back in there. He made up such a lot of ground there on that turn to get alongside Peter Karlsson. Shuts the door on Peter Karlsson there. Looks as though he got that second place in hand, but keeps just going around the inside. Joe's on the pit turn, and Karlsson's still on the outside there as they come down the back straight. Screen is hanging on to that second place, but he certainly catches those bumps badly there, completely overcooks it, and too much oversteer there, almost loses it altogether, and that just allowed Peter Karlsson to take the second on the finish.
From the Czech Republic, Greg Hancock from the USA goes from gate 2. Stefan Dano from Sweden, gate 3. And Sebastian Ulemek on the outside. And must be getting fed up with the outside gate, where he goes forward again. Up by the tapes and array, those Greg Hancock in blue to the apex of the bend. He hugs it but goes wide. Does he pick up the grip there? Yes, he does. Pressure being exerted from the inside from Stefan Dano, but Hancock knew what he was doing, and now he's going to leave the rest in his wake. Ulemek's going around the outside of Dano to try and pick it up. Dano takes him wide. Hancock stretches his lead. Hancock will surely march on. He doesn't normally make mistakes from here.
No, Greg's got a good lead, and tucked in behind him is Stefan Dano, who's also having a good ride. Ulemek there in the yellow centre of the picture. He's really trying hard, but I think his challenge has gone now. It's all really down to Greg Hancock, who's leading this race and riding those bumps real well. What now is in front.
And Tony Casper at the back yet again, fading from the Grand Prix in which he started so well. But Greg Hancock, the former world champion from Coventry, is riding well, and remember, he rides on this very track in the Polish League, does Greg Hancock. He probably knows every bump, every rut, every hole, every inch of the safety fence as Greg Hancock goes down that back straight. He knows exactly what he's doing, and the fans who've adopted him here at Wroclaw will cheer this one as Greg Hancock takes it ahead of Stefan Dano in white. Third is Ulemek in yellow and black. And, well, disappointment for Tony Casper at the back. Sebastian Ulemek and Tony Casper can go home. But now, in blue, Greg Hancock, and white, Stefan Dano. There's the pair. They march on. Golov in gate 2 is going wide, leaving Lee Adams plenty of space. Golub will dive for the apex of the bend, rely on his ability to start fast and hope to shut the gate on Lee Adams. But with Mark Laram outside him, Peter, Laram could do that job just as well.
Yeah, I think Mark's in a good position there, being on gate 3, because...
So much room for Thomas Golub from the second gate wearing the blue helmet colours.
Yeah, Thomas will have nobody now on his left, so he'll really have an open track here on the inside.
Here we go then. Top two go through to the semi-finals. A real flyer. Golub picked it up. Rickardson's going wide. Can Laram come through? Laram is the meat in the sandwich. Rickardson on the inside in second place now. Laram goes by him. Rickardson, the world champions at the back. Thomas Golub, the favourite for the meeting, is flying out front. What a race we have here. Three of the world's top riders here in direct opposition with the elimination of Lee Adams under the 2-minute ruling. But Golub has it all his own way out front. Laram is doing brilliantly to hold off the challenge of Rickardson at the back. And if Laram stays here, Peter, he'll be through to the semi-finals and will continue surely to head the Grand Prix lineup, barring a mistake. But look at Rickardson.
Yeah.
He's coming again.
Rickardson never gives up whatsoever. You can see Mark's got a good lead, but don't count on that, because Rickardson he's there breathing fire down his neck.
While out front is Thomas Golub. I don't know how much noise we're going to hear when he wins this one. He's even got time to look back, but Laram is having to use all his knowledge of the track. True track cloth there to hold off to hold off Tony Rickardson. He does that. The wheelie from Thomas Golub in blue sees him win the heat ahead of Mark Laram in white. Tony Rickardson in yellow will have to go again, but Golub and Laram are through to the semi-finals.
Yeah, certainly Billy Hamill's got the best start position. He's got gate 2, and he'll certainly want to capitalise on this, because he's certainly come through to this point the hard way. And on the outside, let's hope Chris Louis can pull something out of the bag here, because Chris's last ride was a real stormer. We saw him go right round the outside. Can he do that again in this one?
On 7, Starling Marshall getting them into line. Ron Sullivan here on the inside, Billy Hamill in blue, in white it's Jason Crump, in yellow Chris Louis on the outside. Australia, USA, Australia, England, away they go from the tapes now. On the inside, coming across well is Billy Hamill. Hamill picks it up. Look at the wide berth taken by Jason Crump. He picks it up down the back straight in pursuit of Billy Hamill. Hamill first, Crump second. The battle in third place. Well, they will have to go again. Ron Sullivan's trying to come through. Going wide is Chris Louis. Louis got a battle from the back, but what a ride by Jason Crump, who's now gone past Billy Hamill. Coming through on the inside is Chris Louis. Louis is picking up speed. So great riders here, PC.
Yeah, certainly Chris Louis having a real go here, but just look out in front. Jason Crump, he's riding a real fast line there. His bike's working very, very well. Those injuries seem to be behind him, or he's certainly not having, they're not having any effect on him, because he seems to be just pulling away from Billy Hamill now. Chris
Louis got work to do, but he's trying to do it now, coming on the inside of Billy Hamill. Remember, Louis is in third place in yellow. Jason Crump out front in white, going wide, picking up the grip. Time to look back. Hamill in second place in blue. Louis won't give up to the final turn of his wheel. Louis going wider. Hamill is holding it tight. Hamill will try, but look at Louis coming, and Hamill will just hold him off in blue. A great effort by Chris Louis in yellow. Sees him in third place. He's not out of it yet. But the front two, Jason Crump in white and Billy Hamill in blue, are through to the semi-finals. And we've got some quality bringing through here in Wroclaw tonight. And that man, Jason Crump, he wins so far tonight. But certainly, well, it's shown once what can be done from there. But that was a few heats ago. Todd Wiltshire and Tony Rickardson will be the battle for my money, I think, in this one. Wiltshire for gate 1, Rickardson for gate 3. Away goes the Starling Marshall. Up by the tapes, and Tony Rickardson comes around, a little bit of a nudge on Stefan Dano. But Dano takes him hard and wide, and now Dano picks it up down the back straight, pursued by Rickardson, who cuts across in front of Todd Wiltshire and leaves him little space to go. Wiltshire will have to come from behind, because now he's been passed by Sullivan as well, and Wiltshire has gone from first to last. But look at Stefan Dano, the surprise out front from Swedish colleague and world champion Tony Ricardson, and Dano's having a great heat.
Yeah, like we said, that gate's working well and Dano's used it. You can see now Dano, he's got a clear track in front of him. It's a little bit wet and slippery as well, and so Dano is using that to his full advantage, and he's just pulling away from Tony Ricardson.
Ron Sullivan in third place will have to go some here because the last two riders are eliminated. The first two go through to the semi-finals, and at the moment it looks as if Dano's going to make it to the top 8. Ricardson is too, and that will help his hopes. That man in white helmet, in the white helmet colour with the number 1, of certainly retaining his world title. But out front, the heat is going to be won by Stefan Dano in blue. What a ride by him, ahead of Tony Ricardson in white. In third place in yellow, there is Ron Sullivan. Disappointingly, Todd Wiltshire in red. Both of those two Aussies go out of the meeting. A real disappointment for them. But the front two, Sweden against Australia, and the blue flag with the white and yellow cross. 20, remember the first two to the semis, the last two eliminated. Greg Hancock, the American, goes from the inside gate. Sweden's Peter Carlson goes from gate 2. Chris Louis, the Great Britain captain, goes from gate 3. His skipper's Ipswich, of course. And Lee Adams from Mildura in Victoria, Australia. He's at Kings Lynn. He goes from the outside. That's the lineup. This is heat 20. Favoured gate 2 occupied by Peter Carlson there in blue. They look down at the magnets, upright the tapes, and away they go with the dirt flying. And Peter Carlson in the blue helmet colours picks it up at the apex of the bend, but he's got talent with him round the outside from Chris Louis. A tremendous ride by the Ipswich captain. Lee Adams in the yellow is going round the outside too. He's picking up the drive. He's going past Peter Carlson. The track is changing slightly, PC.
Yeah, certainly the two lads from the outside gates have certainly capitalised, and Chris Louis out there in front. That's fantastic news for Chris. If you're going to hang on to this, he will go into the top 8, but Lee Adams from gate 4 is right there with him.
While these riders, of course, battling for places in the semi-finals, and remember, that guarantees that they're in the main event in the next Grand Prix. That's the British Grand Prix at Coventry. Round the back straight in white, it's Chris Louis. Out front in yellow in second place, Lee Adams, the Aussie, who rides for Kings Lynn. Struggling in third place, but looking back, Peter Carlson in the blue helmet colours. In red, way back, and that's a real surprise for Greg Hancock, because he's not going to make the semi-finals. He's been overworked tonight, but in white, Chris Louis only has to keep going here now to ensure that he's through to the semi-finals. He even has time to look back there. Blue in third place is Peter Carlson. It helps in terms of points. Disappointment for Greg Hancock in red, but the winner Chris Louis in white ahead of Lee Adams in yellow. It's Chris Louis of Ipswich, Lee Adams of Kings Lynn. They go through to the semi-finals. Disappointment indeed for Peter Carlson.
That bit of kidology's going on here because his goggles are probably steaming up a little bit, but he's certainly getting all the other riders nervous by heading back to the pits.
And he's going wide again from that gate 2, right from the outside, Peter. It'll be the same tactic, surely. He'll dive, running Thomas Golub going from this gate position. Superman. Away goes the Starling Marshall, up fly the tapes. Can Thomas Golub make it? Yes, he does. They're going to have to pick it up, but the man in white here, Billy Hamill, has battled through on the inside. Somehow, Golub comes back. Here's Shorley Forts Hamill wide. Hamill will have to go again, and does, coming through on the inside. A battle between two of the world's top riders is ensuing out front. Hamill takes the inside line. Golub goes for the grip, the space, picks up the speed down the back straight, but Hamill's not going to give up. Remember, the first two go through to the final. Back in third place is Lee Adams. We've completely lost Stefan Dano. His machine has failed, but Thomas Golub is battling out front with Billy Hamill. What a race, PC.
Yeah, Thomas Golub certainly isn't pulling away, and Billy Hamill's come through on the inside. Billy, we saw him win the GP, the first one from Prague, and he's just gone past Thomas Golub on his home track.
Wow, what a surprise here, but Billy Hamill is flying tonight, and Billy, oh, look at this, the battle is joined because Golub is taken wide, Adams has had a go, Golub has packed up, the Poles will go mad because Thomas Golub will not make the final, and Mark Naran, the GP leader, will be delighted with that. Golub doesn't like what happened, but I have to tell you, Billy Hamill is the winner ahead of Lee Adams in yellow. But Thomas Golub is a very unhappy man, and so too, I'm sure, are most of the fans in this stadium. Peter Collins, an anti-climax for, well, nearly 30,000 Poles.
Yeah, could that bike have been slowing early on? I mean, Billy really had him in his sights, and Billy just reeled him. Yeah, certainly Thomas makes that good start in the blue. There he is, leading into the first corner. But again, just look at the line that Billy Hamill uses in the white helmet. Billy just dives right around the inside there and totally surprises Golob. Golob never expected Billy to be coming through there. But down the back straight, Golob rides a real brave line there, right down the inside of the straight. So when he gets to the bottom corner, he's got to turn very, very tightly. And Billy Hamill was chopping back. But here we can see now, this is later in the race, and we can see there it looks as though the back tyre has gone on Golob's bike. It looks as though, to me, we've seen the second puncture of the evening, and that's what's happened to Golob.
Inside in red, Tony Rickardsson from Sweden, the world champion. Jason Crump from Australia goes from gate 2. Mark Loram from England goes from gate 3. Chris Louis from England from the outside. Second semi-final. Remember, the first two through to the big event.
Okay, so they've really got the work cut out.
We'll have to see what happens, because Billy Hamill into the final could overtake Mark Loram tonight if it goes wrong. Away they go now. Mark Loram is left behind, has got work to do. Look at Tony Rickardsson on the inside in red. Mark will come through. Mark will put him under pressure. Oh, round the outside. What a ride by Chris Louis. That was some ride, Peter. He went where the dirt was, picked up the speed, and now it's anybody's race.
That's the third time Chris Louis done that from the outside. He's really using it well. Mark Loram's having a big go here, and so's Jason Crump. Tony Rickardsson's in there as well. What a race.
What a race we have here, because now it's Chris Louis in front. Look, in second place is Tony Rickardsson. The pressure from Jason Crump, who's now going wide and picking up the same line as Louis, putting Rickardsson under pressure. Sadly, I think Mark Loram is going to miss out on this unless he can produce what we now know is a Loram miracle. But look at the action. Some of the world's top riders, the stylists, the speed, sheer track craft. What riders we have in this one. Tony Rickardsson heading Chris Louis. Louis in second place. Third place now Crump. Crump is going to put a challenge. He won't give up easily. He can't get any more out of his machine. Crump is going all the way. Rickardsson is sitting still. Rickardsson is going to get this. But look, in second place it's Chris Louis. Rickardsson wins it in red. Chris Louis second in yellow. Jason Crump doesn't make the main final in blue. Mark Loram in white doesn't make the main final. And Mark Loram will have to battle to hold his lead here, because Billy Hamill, Tony Rickardsson, well, they're all in challenging positions now. What a series we're having. But that man, Tony Rickardsson, the world champion, well, it could look much better for him come the end of the night.
Yeah, Tony Rickardsson there. He's got all the experience. He's the current world champion. He's been there before, 3 times world champion, and there he's riding the inside line. He doesn't know Chris Louis coming around the outside. But just look at Chris Louis down that back straight. That's what that dirt does on the outside. If you can get your wheels in that line, turn early, get all that grip, you can get that extra speed. But here, Jason Crump in the blues, right in the thick of things. But just on the inside there, Tony Rickardsson just kept plugging away through the whole race. He gets on the inside here of Chris Louis on the pits turn. Chris's back wheel, you saw it come off the ground as he went over them bumps. And then Tony Rickardsson here, he pushes Jason Crump right out into no man's land there. No room for Jason at all. Mark Loram sadly there at the back.
We'll be cheering for the pole. Remember, first place in this consolation heat gives you 15 Grand Prix points. And Thomas Golob could do with those. He's had 15 and 14.
He's first up to the tapes on the outside, and it's the outside where he wants to be, I'm sure.
He's done 23 in the consolation final. Thomas Golob takes them wide, but Jason Crump it is that picks up the speed. And look at the Ram coming through on the inside. Mark Loram takes the lead down the back straight, takes Thomas Golob almost into the fence. We may hear more of that, because Golob now is going wide. Loram looks wide. He shuts the gate on Golob again. Golob goes round the outside. Loram is battling. This should keep him in the lead if he can hold it here. Going through in second place, Thomas Golob. Third is Jason Crump. No problems, Dano at the rear, but look at the battle out front at the halfway stage. Mark Loram looking good.
Yeah, this is what Mark Loram needs more than anything. He's just about holding Golob off there. Golob just tried a big dive up the inside, but Mark Loram, certainly when he's got fresh air, he is very, very fast, and he's riding that wide line, stopping Golob going around him.
Seeing or showing what might have been for Mark Loram at Paul Pirates, because this will surely keep him going. It will take him on to 55 Grand Prix points if he wins this one. Mark Loram is out front in the yellow helmet colours and will take the checkered flag here ahead of Thomas Golob in second place. Third place in blue goes to Jason Crump. Stefan Dano is nowhere, but a great ride by Mark Loram has ensured 15 Grand Prix points coming his way and taking him on to 55. And it's going to be mighty tough for him to be caught. I can tell you, if Billy Hamill wins the final, he will go above him. It's that tight, Peter.
Yeah, certainly. On the outside, Mark Laram makes the jump from 4, but when he gets to the corner, just look there in blue, Golub's really made a good start, but Golub's run right for the outside, but look at the line Mark Laram's taken. Just totally done the big cutback. That is a marvellous first corner there to do that. Golub in the red helmet really had no answer. At this point, Golub could have got around the outside. Golub was touching the bottom of the fence there at that point. But again, we see this Golub off the inside. He races to the first turn, but of course Jason Crumps made a great one from 2 again. That gate 2's certainly been the ace in the pack this time, but just look again, Mark Laram's missed it. He's cut back, and now he's heading there right down the inside. The other boys there riding the wide line, not realising that Mark's riding probably 10 metres shorter than the others. When they get to the straight there, Mark's got to close that gate. He's got to stop Golub. He did just enough to put Golub very wide, a little bit wider than Golub wanted to be, but now just look at the line that Golub's riding now wide. Jason Crumps on the inside, but just look there, Golub was almost touching that safety fence, and Mark Laram there, very happy man, and that certainly keeps his title hopes alive.
Tony Ricardson, the world champion from gate 2. Billy Hamill, a former world champion. He goes from gate 3. Billy Hamill, of course, the world champion in 1996.
In this situation, and it's getting to me as well, as it usually does.
Katowice 1976, Peter Collins, world champion, just down the road from Wroclaw. Starling Marshall walks away they go. On the inside in red, Chris Louis does well to the apex of the bend. He's there first, Chris Louis. Can he sail down the back straight? Oh, in front of him comes Tony Ricardson, but the battle is not lost yet. Round the outside in white goes Billy Hamill. Tony Ricardson perhaps has the best racing line, but can he wilt against the pressure? Because there's a chance here for all of these. Ricardson goes wide. Louis, Ricardson lifts. It's anybody's race.
Yeah, Chris Louis trying that inside, and there's Billy Hamill having a big go around the outside, but Tony Ricardson's just holding his ground, looking very, very steady, but Chris Louis certainly hasn't given up, and he's doing very, very well to stick with him.
Picking up some paper in his dirt deflector, but Chris Louis is pursuing Tony Ricardson down the back straight. In third place is Billy Hamill. If Tony Ricardson wins this one, he'd be on level points with Mark Laram, and it'd be all to race for at Coventry, Boyens and Bidgosh, because Tony Ricardson will get 25 Grand Prix points. It will lift him to a grand total of 55. Mark Laram's already there, but Tony Ricardson, but look at coming round the outside is Billy Hamill. Hamill trying to get second place, all to race for. Hamill will do it. Ricardson wins it in blue. Hamill gets second place in white. Disappointment for Chris Louis there, but triumph for this man, Tony Ricardson. The world champion is now joint leader on 55 points of the Grand Prix. The Swedish fans in the crowd are going wild, and that was a class ride by a classy rider, Peter.
Tony, that's why he is world champion. He rode a fabulous race there. He's elated with that. He's back there right up at the fore of this current world championship. He's won the world championship the last 2 years, and absolutely marvellous. I mean, the way he just held off all those challenges. He never put a foot wrong. He only lifted once, but he immediately corrected that, and basically is riding with so much confidence, and being world champion, that does that for you. And we can see he was off gate 2, but he actually missed that start. Chris Louis made the best start there. Chris has gone for the dirt on the outside. I think possibly Chris should have rode a real tight line while he was in front, but he decided to go for the dirt, but that allowed Tony Ricardson to dive round the inside of Chris, and then from there on, Tony resisted all challenges. He's in the middle of the track. Again, we can see the start, total concentration there. One finger on the clutch from Tony. We can see he's still not made his turn. Now Chris Louis zooms into that first corner, takes the lead there, but already Ricardson's turned very sharply up the inside, and really if Chris had held that tight line, I think he would have stood a much better chance of getting ahead of Ricardsson. But when they come onto the back straight there, they're coming into this funnel. Ricardson's in the commanding position. Chris Louis had a dive up the inside, but decided against it. Ricardsson was just totally first class here, and that is just why he is world champion.
What a performance by the world champion, and what a performance, because now it's dead level with Mark Laram and Tony Ricardson. They go to Coventry as joint leaders, but Billy Hamill is desperately in touch. He's just 4 points behind. Three-class ride.